Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military, veterans, and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Faust. So, quick piece of news before we go over and start. This will probably be the last interactive live outside of our War Hero to Superhero interviews that we'll be going over and doing. We have decided that it's best to live stream our content so you guys can watch and maximize the military content. You should start seeing military content in the next couple of days that War Hero to Superhero is representing for the next 4 months. If you like it, please put it in the comments because we love to take this content of ours and also the content of others and get that from your virtual space to your digital TV space. Secondly, I hope that you go over and enjoy each and every episode that we go over and do. But for now on, you'll be seeing it going live at 6 p.m., but you won't be going over and seeing it basically from a super live perspective. I'll still be on there answering messages. This is always a dialogue, never a monologue, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up. So hopefully you like our virtual space. I'm trying to fix our virtualness. I don't know why I'm virtually pinging, but we'll press on from there. Let's jump into the content. So we're in the living room this week, going over and discussing vision, because without vision, things go over and die, and people go over and die. So I want to go over and talk about vision in your living room, your kids, your legacy. So I experienced 3 hours during this summer. I've also experienced 540 hours this summer. Times it by 4 kids. This equals out to 2,160 hours. Where do you think all these hours went to? Do you think it went to chores, to hobbies, maybe to learning? Oh, hell no, it didn't go there at all. I wish it did. It actually went to streaming. I authorized my kids 3 hours a day during pre-virtual school apocalypse. And when I started going and doing the math from March all the way to September, it equaled out to 2,160 hours. Basically, a work year went to streaming. So I want to do an evaluation. What does that carry in life? I really started upping the math a bit, and I said they did this in 180 days. So imagine if I allow this until we get off this apocalypse of, pandemic. So if I add that and times that another year and a half from now, because predictions are like March of 2022, we'll get back to this sort of normal with school and everything else. That would be roughly about 8,000 hours. Make it 2.5 years, it's a little over 10,000. Do you know that you're an expert in your career path once you have about 10,000 hours? By the time my kids would turn 18 years old, I would literally go over and basically they would have a year sitting on their kibbutz going over and streaming. So I'm not saying streaming is good. I'm not saying streaming is bad. You're streaming right now, watching this, or going over it on the replay. Thank you, flies, for getting in my virtual space. Get out of here. See, even in my nice space, they get in there. Streaming is great to chill and relax, but guess what? In the long run, but in the long term, the only people that really benefit is Netflix, is YouTube, is Facebook, on Twitch. They're the ones making the money. They're the ones that are making dividends. They're the ones that are making legacies and whatnot. And I'm not saying those people, our kids, can't be the next generation of managing Netflix, YouTube, TikTok, and everything else. But the majority of us are probably not going to go over and do that. So if you wanted to go over and break the cycle, how do we break the habit and infuse dreams? So I came up with about 11 ideas to go over and to do some dream infusion within the living room so you guys can go over and thrive. And I've tested out some of them, not all of them, but I'm going to test them out for the remainder of the year. And I'd love for you to take this experiment with me to infuse dreams into it. Now, if it is Netflix, YouTube, they want to be a Minecraft server, great. But let's infuse it appropriately and go over and have them go over and thrive instead of having my 18-year-olds that literally sat a year straight on their butts streaming, and then when they turn 18, when this is all over, they're not ready for the new world. Yes, they got a high school diploma, but are they ready to go over and thrive in this new digital world? So let's jump into it. So dream infusion number one, outside time. Outside time goes over and keeps the body energetic. It keeps it alive. It goes over and has creative thoughts and feelings and emotions. And it's huge for us overall. Vitamin D is key to go over and to have in our lives. It keeps our body going. If we're constantly streaming on the inside, a lot of us can become anxious and depressed and everything else. I was just talking to an adult today at a place, and he's like, this COVID thing's going crazy. It's like constantly working and doing everything else. He said it was very refreshing, even when he was working on the beach and getting his outside time in the sun. Our kids need that too. The average 14 to 22-year-old is the highest on suicide. So we definitely, to infuse dreams, we first need to infuse vitamin D so they are balanced and normal, so then they can start thinking on what they want to be in this next legacy of this brick and mortar world transforming to digital. Dream infusion tip number two is the schedule. I actually practiced this. That's why they only did 3 hours of streaming the majority of summer during those days. But scheduling was key to go over. Now, if your kids absolutely love streaming and that's the only thing they only want to go over and do, then maybe to go over and schedule it as a part of a day to go keep them saying like, all right, or if you do these things, then you can get streaming as a benefit, not just streaming automatically. Now, on Saturdays, we gave them binge day. They're only going to be doing Saturdays binge day now. But the thing is that when you schedule things, then it's actually worthwhile. I actually started to see them get bored, which I was glad. It took a long time for them to go over and to get bored. But definitely scheduling is key. So if you need a benchmark to go over and do that, I did go over and build at least a rough blueprint. So if you guys want a swipe file, go over and do the hashtag schedule within the comments, no matter what you're watching from. If you're watching on the EasyWay wall or in Roku or anything else, go over and leverage that and hit hashtag schedule, and I will send you basically my mock schedule. All right. Going from there, Dream Infusion tip number three, bring the questions to streaming. And what I mean by that is going over and asking, and not just letting them go watch the entire time. Ask them the who's, the what's, the why's, the how. What's the point? How, like for example, Mr. Beast, do you know how much money he's going over and making? Did you know every time that you go over and watch a Mr. Beast episode and you skip the ad, he's not making revenue? Would you want someone else to skip your ad if you're going to do this for a living? So bring the questions in there to start thinking like, how long do you think it takes an average to build a streaming video? How much do you think YouTube is marketing and how much they're paying out of pocket? Those types of things. Get their minds going because it's like a book or anything else. If we get the mind engaged, maybe they'll start thinking like maybe they will become the next streaming person, or maybe they'll figure out, hey, it's great to watch, but it might not be as glorious of a life as it's going to be. So bring the questions, bring the who's, bring the what's, bring the why's. Always going over and you can take anything and bring it to a learning table instead of just going over and bringing it just to the zoning table. Going in there from Dream Infusion number four, hang out with your kids corporately. A lot of times we can come home and totally forget to go over and to hang out with our family and we part our separate ways. And the thing is that they're learning their values based on what we expose them to. Again, 2,160 hours is a lot, but imagine if I let them do 8 hours a day for 180 days. It would have been 4,000 hours at least in that particular guard. Actually, it would have been more because you do 5 times 180. That's another 900 hours. So go incorporate within that schedule to hang out with your kids corporately. We do family night 3 times a week. And I'm going to go leverage more of that time. So that's why I'm going to be recording these episodes and then posting them live so I can go over and do that. So I'm hopeful to still give you guys great content while still mastering the craft and everything else of online streaming. But at the same time, it's going over and infusing them for that because they might need something else in their lives. So hanging out with your kids corporately is key. Dream Infusion tip number 5 is hang out with your kids individually. As you go over, like we talk about regular, you're supposed to date your wife and get your husband to get the doctorate degree and your spouse. You should be doing the same thing as getting regular father and son or father and daughter times or whatever individually. So at least probably once a week, try to go over and do that. Maybe you're incorporating into their schedule. Maybe you're going over and helping them with with the homework without them asking, or going over and doing something else. No matter what it is, go over and hang out with the kids individually and go over and connect with them. Sorry guys, I'm really trying to target on getting my eyes on the camera, but it's been kind of difficult. Let me see if I can raise my chair up. Nope. All right, we're gonna do the best we can. All right, going from there, Dream Infusion tip number 6, family night. Family night is huge in this particular regard. Family night goes over and helps you connect as a family, start discovering who they are, playing some intricate games. Maybe some nights are streaming, maybe some nights are not. Maybe it's playing Who Wants to Be a Daddy Heir or Who Wants to Be a William Heir, and then you start figuring out. They can ask questions and then you go over and guess. Maybe when you're playing games and whatnot, they can go see like board games or outside games or doing barbecues and things of that nature. Go let them see the holistic of family fun. Sometimes you can discover that maybe they can creatively build a board game or maybe a video game or something to that effect. Dream Infusion tip number 7, invite them into your world. This one's a little harder, but it depends on what you're going over and doing. So if you're doing digital content like me, you can bring them into the world and show them what you're going over and doing from start to go over and finish. When I did IT contracts, I was able to go over and do that on a regular basis. And when I worked in the training world, I was able to then go over and hire my son to go over and to put him in the place of signing in people when we were doing in-person training. You can even do that a lot of the virtual world now. It's like, hey, maybe you can have them as a moderator, go and having people coming in. Maybe they go over and answer the comments and the questions that are in social media if you're doing that. A lot of our world is going virtual, and especially if you're doing it as a side hustle, you can go over and teach them those elements to go and do that. Maybe even if it's corporate world, when we think get somewhat back to a normal, or maybe if your office is isolated, you can at least show them where you work and what you go over and do and see if it's something they want to go over and do, to go over and mirror. So that's another way. Another type of thing is to go over and to do is projects. Now, for me, I'm not too handy, but the thing is that my kids might be handy. You might not be IT savvy, but your kids might be IT savvy. So you can add those projects in there. Going over and doing like an art project or maybe building something, or our digital wall. Our actual green screen was built by my daughter, going over and helping build that. So if you see it as, I'd say mostly, I'm kind of pixelating on the ears and whatnot, which I'm working, but she built this stuff up and then had a little help from my son going over and bringing the monitor closer to at least get the wall in there. So projects like that to go over and put them in. Maybe it's projects that you can go over and bring. Now, if you're more family business, you definitely can go over and show them. They can figure out what's good for them and what's bad for them. In worst case scenario, they learn some discipline, they learn some tactics, they learn some tools to go figure out what they like and they don't like. My son does not want to troubleshoot IT, but he wants to be supposedly a Minecraft server administrator. The funny part is that it's highly IT, but because Minecraft's behind it, it's huge for him. He'll go dive in. That's what we're looking at so far. Dream Infusion tip number 9. This one's usually the hardest one as us as parents. We can get into the negative stuff. I have to watch myself. This is one that I'm going to have you guys challenge me. Please go over in the comments or regularly say, hey, how are you doing with Dream Infusion tip number 9? Notice and uplift their strengths while challenging them on their weaknesses. We need to go over and uplift kids' strengths in general. We already have an isolated world. The kids are already having difficulty connecting with their friends. They have to make more steps than we had to from the 1980s and 90s, or even the 70s if you guys are watching, depending on your age. The 70s and 80s and 90s, you had the school infrastructure there. We had the school infrastructure until about a year ago, and we don't know if we're going to go back. People are hopeful, but we honestly don't know. So we have to be the conduits to go over and do that. We would hope that as more people get infused in their lives to do this, but we are the primary conduits for this. So notice and uplift their strengths whenever you go over and see them. And maybe you're not even seeing them actively doing it in the moment, but you bring it back to memory and then you throw it out there. And then challenge them on their weaknesses. This one I usually do better with because my son's like, oh, I can't do this. Like recently, we took my daughter's art and I said, draw the best version of the Powder Puff Girls. Choose which one, Bubbles, Buttercup, or Blossom. She chose, I think, no, she chose Buttercup, the one in the green. And, or was it Bubbles? It was probably Bubbles. It was the green one. I think Bubbles. But anyway, I think she chose Bubbles and went over and I said, William, I said, right now he's on discipline, but I said, I still want to cultivate your Minecraft skills, but I want to go cultivate them in a STEAM sort of way. So my daughter drew the best Bubbles character possible out of the Powder Puff Girls. And then I told him, I said, now you're going to take this picture and then create that in Minecraft as a mosaic. And I said, you use your Minecraft blocks, you go about a couple hundred blocks up, and then you're going to be creating basically bubbles in there. And then it's going to be a rough draft, and then we'll allow him to blow it up with TNT, virtually speaking. And then he will then go over and do the same thing again, like 2 or 3 times, but then he's also teaching the craft so he can practice, because eventually if you want to be a Minecraft YouTuber, you have to walk people through those videos. That's why they like watching videos. It's not the video in itself, it's you walking the commentary through and liking the person. So I'm helping him to challenge him on his weaknesses. He thinks he's horrible with art. These flies are aggressive. Just so you know, in a virtual world, flies are aggressive. Get out of here. Woo. And so I'm doing both. I'm uplifting their strengths and then challenging them on their weaknesses. And again, this is a challenge for me. So remind me as you guys are taking this in, this is not just for me. I mean, not just for you, it's for me too. So that's one that you can go over and continue keep me in accountability no matter where you're watching. Facebook is the best place if you want to join the conversation. I'm going to see it the most, but definitely go over and challenge us at that because that's one specific thing that I want to grow in. Dream Infusion tip number 10, leverage the streaming to find their dreams. People watch stuff because they like it, love it, or want to be it in one way or another. Dreams can come out of those things. Why do I watch Shark Tank? Because I want to be a 6, 7, 8-figure business owner. Why does my son like Dude Perfect? I need to go figure that out. Why does he watch Minecraft videos? Because he wants to be a Minecraft YouTuber. He wants to be a server person. He wants to go live in those things. So leverage the streaming. God, it's really challenging day with these flies. I'm going to take that hammer and go swing it. Boom. Anyway, so you want to leverage that streaming time. Maybe you sit with them, even if you hate the show. You know, most of the things that my kids and my wife goes over and watches, I despise, but I watch it with them. I'm working on the attitude piece, but at least I watch it with them. And the way you can leverage it is if you have this inside you that you're like, I don't want to watch this. You go over and you watch it from the perspective of them sitting in and then see if you can bubble up those dreams and those thoughts on what they want to do because they're watching it for something. We get something out of everything we go over and watch, just like you guys are watching. There's something missing. There's something that's lacking when you're watching this stuff or listening to podcasts or anything we go over and do. Why do we like superheroes? Because there's something that's awesome that we want out of it that we're trying to extrapolate. So they're doing the same thing. So leverage the streaming to find out their dreams and bring those questions. Wish my cat was here to kill those flies. And last and certainly not least, this is probably the most interactive live because of my flies. Explore your budget. And this is contextualized to today, especially to you federal employees, you military employees, you veteran employees. Empower your budget to help them explore. OISDA means Old Age Supplemental and Disabled Income. It's basically Social Security FICA. We are getting it back from basically September 15th to January 15th, and then they're going to work it out. Most people don't understand that through January 15th to April 15th, they're going to take it back. So you can't give it back. They're going to double take it over. If you're gonna spend it and you forget it anyway, in a sense, and then you're like quote unquote struggling, at least that money, my recommendation, this is not like me telling you you have to do this, but this is a tip. empower yourself to use that money to at least go over and maybe infuse their dreams. Maybe you find out you can take that same concept, but even if you split it in half, you can infuse your dreams at the same time and go over and explore. The average person is going to have $100 to hundreds of dollars coming back into your account. Now, budget people would say be wise and go over and save it as a nest egg. Try to get a little interest off and then live it January through April. You want to consult your budget, you want to consult your CPA and everything else. But if you already know that you can handle it, like I get a bonus 2 weeks after Christmas, and I can just put that money aside to put for the nest egg from January to April, and I do other side hustles, and I say, hey, I'm just going to do that. I'm planning to go over and put that into something that they can go over and explore. Because if I have them discover their legacy, it's worth being, quote unquote, a little in debt. I don't encourage debt overall, but if I'm going to go in debt, I'm going to go in debt for people. And the people that are in my living room and in my bedroom, my wife and my kids, are most important. And if you're watching this, you're more than likely thinking that is most important. So if you're going to go over and do it, and you're going to, quote unquote, have to pay it back, that OISDI, from January to April, because Social Security will get their money, the bill will come due. You might as well go over and invest that money into something that's going to bring legacy in the long term. So again, check with your CPA, make sure you take wise wisdom. I don't want to go and impact your finances from January to April if you don't go over and have it. But if you're already planning to have a strategy, hey, that's a great thing to go over and do, is empower your living room, which is your kids, to go over and find their dreams, because that could be a lot of money. I mean, I think of my son and my daughter about the art and the Minecraft stuff. Literally, Minecraft goes over and has like 260,000 servers. You could literally go over, and if you got 2,000 people on a day, eventually go there and you're having $10, they can make $20,000 a month. Imagine you took $2,000 of OASDI and started making $20,000 a month in 6 months to a year. You're not just empowered your kids, but you can also empower yourself and teach them about business. Set and go. So then you are empowered to not worry about OISDI. My goal is to not rely on any Social Security. They can have it all. So that's my goal, to empower you guys to go over and to do the same. So that's pretty much about it. Our superhero challenge that we have every single time is, how do you empower your kids to their dreams? We would love to go hear that in the chat. And as always, we hope to go over and empower you to the next level. So if you are struggling in the bedroom, the living room, and the boardroom, 20 minutes are free to every single person that goes over and connects with us for the first time. And also you go over and if you are wanting to take your game to the next level, basically for $5 a month, you can just join patreon.com/thrive.survive and start that marriage hero or family superhero track. Each track goes up, so it's like 5, 10, 25, 50, and 100. But for less than $100 a month, you can go over and change your life in that transformational step. So we want to thank you guys for going over and joining from all 7 platforms. If you guys are lagging, I apologize. We will be recording videos this on forward just to maximize, and keep watching. We're going to be spreading out a bunch of new content through some of our military and veteran channels. Now, the free spots are closed, but if you're still interested in going over and streaming on our platform for the next 4 months, we are doing it low cost. Please go send me a direct message. All right. Thank you guys for joining. All right. Bye.